Well, while Republican candidates around the country largely underperformed last week, Republicans here in North Carolina, they had a pretty good night. They swept every statewide race from U.S. Senate to state Supreme Court and Court of Appeals. So what made the difference here? WRAL Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie joins us live from the legislature with a look at the data.
Michelle, in North Carolina, last Tuesday, Republicans took control of the state Supreme Court. They won back their supermajority in the state Senate, and they very nearly did the same thing in the state House. Republican leaders here say it's evidence that the state is trending toward their party. One political expert I talked to said turnout was definitely in the GOP's favor.
The ayes have it. The House stands so adjourned.
House Speaker Tim Moore is just one vote away from having a supermajority in his chamber. His party flipped at least half a dozen seats Tuesday night, netting 2 additional votes. He thinks the Republican message is resonating with North Carolina voters, especially because of the work GOP lawmakers have done to strengthen the state's economy.
I mean, folks watching this, if they think about it, will probably go, yeah, there's all these new job announcements. There's all these new houses being built. There's all these folks moving here. Well, that's not an accident.
Republicans also swept all 6 judicial races on the ballot, state Supreme Court as well as Court of Appeals. Moore says Democratic judges and justices went too far to the left on issues like voter ID and redistricting, and voters didn't like it.
That they overplayed their hand. I mean, they particularly on those judicial matters, and that's what the poll numbers are showing us, and I think that's what the election results showed.
Catawba College political scientist Michael Bitzer says the GOP had a better night here than in other states because their voters turned out. Registered Republicans make up just 30% of the state's voters, but exit polls show they made up 37% of the voters in this election, and they almost all voted straight party.
What we know about North Carolina politics is registered Republicans have the highest turnout rates since 2010. So if you're getting 97% from the biggest group, you already have a built-in advantage.
Bitzer thinks that's also the explanation for the GOP's sweep of the courts. He said support for GOP judges was almost an exact match of support for Budd.
If you were loyal to Ted Budd, you voted Republican straight down the ballot, and that affected the judicial races almost to a point of it was a perfect relationship between the two.
Bitzer said both Democrats and Republicans actually had strong party loyalty this time at 97%. It just came down, as it so often does, to who actually shows up at the polls come the election. Michelle?
All right, Laura Leslie, thanks so much.